Boom! How's going? How's going? It is I again, TJ Taurai Jack from M5 Property Addict, and today we're going to be talking about property education. Property education. I started off back in the days, also educated. I've got some academic education, and however, I actually lagged in other form of education, and this is the stuff what we want to be talking about, because there is the different types of education that is out there. I'm of the view that there is academic education, there is professional education, and then there is financial education. But today I want to cover up all these three and to actually see which one do you actually need for you to be successful in the property space. Yeah, and let's start. And I want to give you guys a scenario here. I met up recently with a 22-year-old, and he says to me, TJ, I don't want to go to university because I feel like I'm wasting my time. Can I just quickly jump into property investment? And my answer was, let's watch the video. Well, my answer comes through from a perspective of I've gone through this. I've grown up, and I went through the academic system, and my kids are also going through in the academic system. So what is academic, right? Going through to primary school, going through into high school, and we learn the algebras, and we learn all these other nice things that we need to learn, geography and history, and which is also another contagious issue, because which history are we supposed to be learning? And we learn all these languages that we need to learn, and all of these things, right? Okay, so now that we've got the academics out of the way, now we go through into the professional education. For some people, they go on to be mechanics, doctors, lawyers, builders, and welders, and all of those things, right? But I want to stress the fact that my answering to my 22-year-old was that, number one, everyone I think needs academic education. We all need academic education. It is very important. It just gets us into the literacy phase. It just gets us into the literacy phase, right? Can you read and write? Yes, you can, right? Can you make logic of some complex issues? Yes, you can. And that's what you get from the academics, right? And it doesn't go further than that, actually, right? And I'm talking here to a guy who is not intelligent, who is not, who's got a talent in something, because you might get academically good or even academically poor, but because you've got a talent in something, then you might just be able to just kill it than those that have gone to school to learn how to do it. So that's the first thing. We now figure out, we understand the academics part of it. I'm of the view that everyone needs it. So I did say to my 22-year-old boy, you need to go to school, and I'm glad that you have finished your high school. Then let's talk about the university stuff. So you're saying you don't want to go to university and you want to jump into investments. I've seen a lot of people that don't even have matric, rising all the way to the ladder to become managers and to become great people. They don't even have matric, right? So can it be done? Yes, it can be. Is it difficult? Yes. Is it easy? Yes. It just depends on what we're talking about here, right? And it depends with the scenario that we are going to push in. However, I want to then speak to the point of the professional part, which is the second layer of education. So we got the academic out of the way, and we have seen that there's other people actually who are doing very well in life who might not even have the foundation of the academic. So do we want to advise this boy to say, well, don't even finish off your academics, just go ahead and become a professional person? Right, there's other professionals that don't need to go and get to university. And there are other professionals that you can get a diploma, a certificate in. But we all know that the more you study, the more you earn, right? And the end income does not warranty you to be rich, or does not warranty you to be successful, right? And I think this is where financial education kicks in, because you could be a professional, you could be a doctor, and you've got end income, and you could be actually a pilot and you got lots of earned income, but because of your spending habits and your financial education or awareness, you might not actually be able to spend it wisely because you just don't know what you don't know. You might be sitting in a house, actually buying a house, and you got this humongous house, and you're thinking you've got an asset, whereas you don't have, you've got a liability. So going back into our example of our 22-year-old boy who asked me the question to say, now, so can I go in and forget my varsity, and I don't want to be a doctor, I don't want, and I was like, yeah, there's plenty of people, boy, who has never set their foot of being in a university, but who are doing well. And likewise, there's also plenty of people that have gone to university who are not doing well. Right. So how do you answer such kind of a question? Because this boy now is obviously seeing the rise in property entrepreneurs, and he is of the view that he can crush it. Okay. Now, he is also seeing that there's other professional people who are employed, but who are not savvy within their finance. So this guy is stuck. This boy is stuck. And I want to give myself as an example here, right? And I want to speak to a point of from when I started off, and like all the way from my academic to my professional to my financial education, and I want to give it in relation to where I was. And I want to give it in relation to where I am now, right? So let's start with the academic part. The academic, yes, you do need it. Everyone, I am of the view that you do need your base of education so that you just can be able to comprehend stuff when it's presented to you, to be able to present to other people, to be able to talk nicely to other people in different, in different languages, and you can be able to comprehend the complex issues that will be presented. Obviously, the more you study and you become a professional, so for instance, I was a banker, I was able actually now to be within professional, in a professional environment, and to act professional, right? To act professional. So what does a professional act like within their profession, right? We know that if you're to visit a doctor, there's a certain way that you're going to address the doctor, and then the way that the doctor is going to address you in terms of their professionalism, right? And there will be nothing amiss if you're working within that professionalism. So they are a professional in that profession, right? Now, if I go on to any other profession, being a banker, being a plumber, being, we can name all of them. The point here is that every profession has some form of professionalism, level of professionalism. And this actually can carry you very well. I'm going to give you an example. I used to be a consultant in a consulting firm, and for that, I was exposed to many industries. So for that reason, I could talk within the industry of, let's say, automobile. I could speak the language there within the professionals of those languages, engineers and so on. I know how to speak to engineers. And if I come into another space as well, where I used to work in the health sector, I know how to speak to doctors as well within their professional level. So you can see these are two different professionals that are there. You can see that in any profession, there is different way of addressing to people. So the way you're going to communicate to engineers and the way that you're going to communicate to doctors, the way you're going to be communicating to architects is totally different because they receive things differently within their professional. It's just the way they are wired. So now that we have gone through the fact that all people needs to have some form of academic, how then do we move into the professional piece? Do you want to be a professional person? Do you want to have a profession? I want to then stress the fact that if we then put in the layer of financial education, I'm of the view that it supersedes both academic and professional, because if I look at anyone, including myself, I was in the same boat where I was a professional, right, and working in the bank, and I had my academics, but I just didn't have the financial education for me to make wise financial decisions. I needed to wait for a financial advisor to tell me and present to me that well, you need to be buying stocks because of, right? And you need to be buying your retirement because of. I didn't make those decisions based on my own thinking and my own research. I was making these decisions based on what was presented to me, and I accepted that. And I was like, yeah, let me do this, let me do this. However, in the world right now, there is so much education around financial awareness, right? Financial education is the key here. So if I go back to the guy who was asking me the question of, hey, should I become a doctor or should I not go to the university? My answer is going to be, boy, you need to do what your heart wants you to do. Because whether you become a non-doctor, whether you become a lawyer, whether you become whatever professional that you're going to become, you are still going to need the financial education. And this comes to the point to say that when I started working more and more on my financial education, I realized that I actually know very little. I didn't know about shares in the past. How do they work? I didn't know about bonds. I didn't know about real estate. There's lots of things that I didn't know. And out of it, when I started now digging in, which is financial awareness, and I was now getting my education, I realized, that I like. That is too risky for me. That is good for me now. That is good for me 5 years. Oh, this is good for my lifetime. So for instance, in putting in my money into a pension fund, for me, it just doesn't make sense anymore, right? For me, it doesn't make sense because I am now financially aware of what I can do with the same amount of money if I put that money. So I go in and I compare buying a house, right, and buying, or should I say contributing into a pension fund. If I take these two, I'm seeing that in my property, my money is going to give me more returns, and I still own my property and I still own the rewards. So obviously it makes sense for me to put in here. If I put it in a pension fund, I have no idea where they're investing that money to. I have no idea the rate. Of course, they will give you these statements, but really, is it growing at that pace? And when it's time to issue it out, will they issue it out to me? I don't know, right? I've never been 65 yet, and hopefully I'll get there, right? But the point here that I'm trying to paint here is when the 22-year-old was asking me that question to say, what do I do? Do I go on and become a professional for me to be successful and financially savvy? The answer here was not really about him being a professional or not. The answer was to stipulate that there is 3 different categories of education, and some of us, we need all of it. Some of us, we need 2 of the 3. Some of us, we might only get to 1 of the 3 and we'll all be successful, right? And some of us, we might even get to the financial education. I've got some business partners and some people who are aware in the financial space of what they're supposed to be doing, but for some reason, they're not able to execute. So is it better now to only just educate yourself on your on finances? Not really. You might also need the professional part, because maybe you are good with your hands. Maybe you are good mentally to work on something else. Financial education is the cream on the top. However, I'm of the view that where we are learning it, so for instance, for me, I started now, my interest was heightened in my early 30s, whereas I should have, right? And it's my fault. It's not the government. It's not anyone's problem. It's me, right? My parents didn't teach me about it because they also didn't know about it, right? And their parents didn't teach them because they also didn't know about it. My uncles and aunties didn't know about it, so they never taught me about it. So it's one of those things where we don't even speak about money in our communities, right? And that's where the biggest problem is. So when the 22-year-old is asking, should I just leave academic, I'm done. Can I move on now to become a real estate investor? My answer here is be what you want to be from the academics. If you want to have a profession, you have the profession. Be a basketball player, soccer player, whatever it is, but it should not stop there. It should stop at financial education. Seek financial education. So whatever space of life that you are in, whether you have a profession or no profession, what I want to stress upon is get the financial education. Everyone needs it. Is financial education talking about accounting? That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about financial education here is, I'll give you a simple example. If I buy a property here, if I use debt and I get some income here, can I be able to pay my debt and can I still make some profit? That's financial intelligence. When do I buy shares in or stocks? When they are high or when they are low, right? That is education. Where do I put in my money? Where am I getting the best return? What is the risk involved in that? This is what I'm talking about. So if you understand that, then you have covered all the rest. For some people, I know highly intellectual people in their professionals, researchers and all of those things, who do not know how to manage their finances. They are not financially aware of what their finances can do. They know that they're getting a salary. Out of their salary, they've got a savings for going on holiday. They're paying off their bills, and that's it. They don't know that their money can work 4 or 5 times harder than them. They don't know that their salary and their paycheck can actually get them more money. And they run away and like, no, this debt thing, no, we don't like it. And for the rest of their lives, they're going to work as employees. Is there something better with that, being an employee for the rest of your life? No, there isn't anything wrong with that. But the point is that money can give you options if you want. When you want to retire, if you want to retire like I did, I retired early, right? And now I get to reap the benefits of what I want. Like the 22-year-old, what he wants. So like what I want, spend time with a little bit of time with my family, spend a little bit of more time. I dictate what I want to do, writing books, so I can write books. I spend a little bit of time talking to you on YouTube like this. It is a choice. I am not now worried about where is the money going to come in from, where is my salary, where is this, because I have that. The properties are giving me that. It's money working for me, so I'm getting what is called passive income. But out of that, I have this free time, and that free time, I can do other cool things that I want to do, because life is amazing. And we must not limit it by just going to work and going to work. And by the way, I still do work, right? Being retired doesn't mean that I don't work. I do work, but it's a different type of work. It is a work that I love. It is a work that I enjoy. I dictate when I work. My name is TJ, Taurai Jack. I am glad that maybe you might have enjoyed this. And this is all about talking to financial awareness and about education. What kind of education will make you successful or to earn hundreds and hundreds of thousands over and above your income? That is the question. And the answer is, we all need financial education. If we understand financial education, we can make our money work, we can beat inflation, we can have better choices in life. Isn't that good? It is I, TJ, Taurai Jack from M5 Property Addicts. God bless. Cheers. Goodbye.